Today I'm going to show you how to make Mediterranean lentil soup, which is one of my favorite cold weather recipes. It's budget friendly, nutritious, it comes together in one pot, but the flavor is ridiculously good. And I'm going to walk you through the tips and tricks I use to make this lentil soup far from ordinary. So let's get into it. We're starting off with some familiar soup characters, so go ahead and start by dicing one large yellow onion. This is a very perfect looking onion, almost too perfect. I'm a bit suspicious. And I'll also dice up 3 medium carrots, and I never bothered peeling them because the peel is nutritious, it's delicious, but I do wash and scrub them really well before using them. And finally chop 6 garlic cloves. We've got our nice big pile of garlic. I do love my garlic. All right, so we have our standard soup aromatics prepped, but my first tip is if you want an actually interesting lentil soup that's not ordinary, add a fun flavor twist. Today we're going in a Mediterranean direction, so I've got some ground coriander for a citrusy warmth and some Aleppo pepper for a fruity, smoky heat. And to add to this flavor profile, we're gonna add some preserved lemon peel. Preserved lemons are so fun. They're essentially lemons that have been fermented in their own juices and salt, and they're gonna add a super lemony, complex, tangy, salty flavor to the soup that really takes it over the top. For this recipe, we're just using the peel, and finely chop up the peel until you get 2 tablespoons worth. You can find preserved lemons at Middle Eastern grocery stores and some well-stocked supermarkets. You can also make them at home. I've got a whole video on how to do that. If you can't find them though, you can use some lemon zest for a different flavor profile, and I've got instructions in the written recipe. That is all the prep, very quick, so let's get started on our soup. Grab a Dutch oven or a soup pot and get it over medium-high heat. Add in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Let that heat up. Add those onions, a little bit of salt. And this brings me to my next tip for a really great lentil soup, or really good soup in general. Wait until your onions brown. Don't just sweat them for like 4 or 5 minutes, especially in a soup where you're using pantry, budget-friendly ingredients. Taking the time to brown your onions really makes a difference in terms of the flavor. It's more complex. You can taste the difference at the end. So that should take at least 10 minutes, probably closer to 15 minutes. And yes, it does take a little bit longer, but you can use that time to multitask. Normally when I make this at home, while the onions cook, I chop up the garlic and the carrots and the preserved lemon, so you're not really losing that much time. You'll notice I haven't added the carrots yet, and that's because I want to give the onions enough surface area so they can really brown. If the onions start to brown unevenly at any point, just add a splash of water. That's going to bring down the temperature of everything in the pan so the onions cook more evenly. Our onions are looking lovely, super golden brown, so we can add our carrots, garlic, and preserved lemon now. Be sure to stir pretty frequently at this point so the garlic doesn't burn. You're looking for the carrots to just start to soften. That should take about 5 minutes. It's time for the spices. Be sure to stir almost constantly so the spices don't burn. It should take just 30 seconds. If you've got a lot of brown bits on the bottom of the pot, go ahead and add a splash of your vegetable broth to deglaze everything. And that leads me to my next tip for a really good lentil soup. Use a vegetable broth that you actually like the taste of. If I were to have a teaspoon of this and just like have it as a sip, it'd be something I don't know if I'd enjoy drinking it, but it tastes nice. If you want to take the soup over the top, obviously you can make your own vegetable broth if you have the time, or you can use something like a better than bouillon base, which is going to add a super concentrated, salty umami punch. I'm also going to pour in 1 cup of water. If you have extra vegetable broth on hand, you can totally use that, but most cartons come in 4 cups and we need 5 cups total of liquid. Now for our lentils, I've got 1 cup of standard green lentils. You can find these at pretty much any grocery store. You can also use brown lentils if you prefer. Lots of black pepper. And before we bring this to a boil, we have one final ingredient to add to the soup, a bouquet garni. It's a fancy French word, but it's super simple. It's just a bundle of herbs. And to make it, I just took a piece of kitchen twine and piled on 2 bay leaves, plus about 10 fresh thyme sprigs. And I love this technique for soups so much because you just stick it in the soup, you don't need to chop up the herbs, and it gently infuses the entire soup with the earthy, woodsy aromas of the herbs. And the twine prevents you from having to fish out a bunch of different herb leaves. You just pick out the one bundle and that's it. Bring the soup to a boil, and then you can reduce the heat, cover it, and we'll simmer it for 20 minutes. Actually, I'm gonna have this simmer on my main stove so I can create more space here. While the soup simmers, I have a few more tricks to take this recipe over the top. And the first one is to always serve your soup with some good crusty bread. Just makes it a more enjoyable experience and it makes it a complete meal. And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video, Wild Grain. I am obsessed with Wild Grain. They are the first baked from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas, all of which I love. And they source all of their products from small local bakeries. So you're getting really high quality food. It's definitely light years better than any of the ultra processed bread you can find at the supermarket these days. Today I'm gonna bake their classic sourdough loaf to go alongside our lentil soup. And I have to say, being able to just open the freezer, put something in the oven, and magically end up with fresh baked bread is such a treat. So if you also want to experience the joy of having fresh baked bread at home with minimal work, check out the link in the description box below and use code NISHA at checkout to save $30 on your first box plus free croissants for life. Yes, they have vegan croissants, and yes, they are amazing. We still have a bit of time before the soup is ready, so we can work on our toppings, which are really easy yet fun, and they definitely elevate the soup. When you're making a fairly simple and healthy soup like we are today, I think it's important to add something a little fun and indulgent so it becomes something you actually look forward to eating. So the first thing we're gonna make is a low-fuss herb oil herb topping situation. So you're gonna use a cup of fresh herb leaves. I really like using fresh basil with a little bit of dill, but if all you have at home is flat leaf parsley, that works too. For the dill, I'm just gonna finely chop that up. And for the basil, I like to layer the leaves on top of one another, roll them up like a cigar, and then do a chiffonade. And then just rotate the pile of herbs and chop it a few more times. We'll zest 1 medium lemon right into our herb mixture. And now we're gonna drizzle in some extra virgin olive oil, about 2 tablespoons. And this is gonna be a finishing oil, so you'll taste the oil, so you wanna use your good stuff, the stuff you love the most. And a pinch or 2 of flaky sea salt, just to make everything pop. I like to add just a little more oil to make it a looser, kind of spoonable consistency, but if you don't wanna add more, that's totally fine. The herbs and the lemon are gonna add a lot of brightness and freshness, and the olive oil is gonna add that lovely, luxurious mouthfeel to our soup. Next up, we're gonna make the fastest yogurt sauce to go on top of our soup. It's technically optional, but it takes 1 minute to make, and it makes the soup even more special. All you need is about a half cup of a plain flavored yogurt. These are my 2 go-to brands that are plant-based and I love so much. Just squeeze in a little bit of lemon juice. And I'm doing it directly in the container so we don't have an extra dish to wash. Some black pepper and a touch of salt. Maybe I should have just used a bowl. It's kind of like topping your chili with some sour cream, except with a Mediterranean twist. It's gonna add a cooling element, some tanginess, and some great texture. The soup should be done simmering any minute now, but first we have to check on our bread.
Oh yeah, look at that.
It needs to cool for a bit, so I can't dig in just yet, but I'm very excited. The lentils are tender, so I'm gonna scoop out that bouquet garni. A lot of lentil soups are kind of lacking in that savory umami quality unless, you add meat or mushrooms. So now I like to add in 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and it just adds a slight savoriness without any extra work. And let that gently simmer for a minute or 2. And pretty much any soup will benefit from a little acidity at the end to awaken all the flavors. So we're gonna go in with a big squeeze of lemon juice. Oh, can't forget a slice of our fresh baked sourdough. Still warm. I have to have a bite even before the soup. I'm so excited. It's fluffy, but perfectly chewy and crispy. It's got this amazing tang, and it's such a great cheat code because you can just have it whenever you want it. Can't forget our toppings, our delicious herb oil, and a dollop of our yogurt sauce. Our bread. This looks so good. It's bright and lemony, but still has that nice indulgence from the toppings. I think y'all will love it as much as I do. You can get the full printable recipe linked in the description box below, or you can scan this QR code. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!